Okay, so just out of the shower, let's have a quick look at what Twitter is saying about the...
But what about
Meslier
Simicast,
going
Joe?
to Turkey.
Are we signing a
Let's
right
get
back?
Callum
Ramsdale,
Wilson.
Pope,
Bring
Petrovic,
Calvin
Johnston,
home.
Lucas Perry.
Give us all
Okay,
of the
fine. Here is all of the Leeds United transfer news so far that I've been able to gather into one place in one video. And I've edited it a bit, just to make it a bit quicker. Not for me, but for you. Enjoy. But only after you subscribe, because for every subscriber I have at full time in the charity match on the 20th of July, I'll give another 1p to Prostate Cancer UK. Be absolutely wonderful if you could help out on that. And also get a ticket, it's down below. Anyway, into the video. I'm going to start with the players that are already at Leeds United, because those are the ones that we know will have some business to do or not have business to do. Either way, we know we'll have something to do with these players over the coming summer, and I'm going to start with Illan Meslier. Illan Meslier was heavily linked to Fenerbahce, with some word going around that he'd agreed terms or had a bid put in for him. The Yorkshire Evening Post doesn't believe those bids have been put in. There aren't any bids at the moment for Illan Meslier, but we'll have to find out how that goes. Basically, he'll be on the way out. Where to is the question. A player where there isn't a question on where he'll go is Junior Firpo. He's off to Real Betis. That'll probably happen after his contract expires on the 30th of June. It'll be announced on the 1st of July, is my guess. That's why I'm doing this video right now. It's because all the news is really going to kick in after the start of July. Such as Sam Byram. Last I knew, we were holding talks around extending his contract just to sort of see if he can stick around as a little bit of squad depth. I would not mind that in the slightest. Whether or not that happens, we'll find out, I guess, on the date that his contract is going to expire. We'll have to have some form of news at that point, I think. However, we can fully expect Max Wöber to leave, because he basically said he doesn't want to rot on the bench in England, which to me doesn't exactly scream someone that's going to be staying at Leeds United next season. In a similarly very weird boat, Jack Harrison has also been outspoken against the club. Everton aren't looking to keep him around. Apparently David Moyes says he is open to keeping him, but it doesn't look like a permanent move is on the horizon. I think Leeds United will probably find a move for him before the end of the transfer window, just because he sort of burnt a lot of those bridges with fans, which makes it really hard to come back. Some players that have also been away are the 3Gs: Sam Greenwood, Darko JB, Joe Gelhardt. They've all been on loan at championship clubs last season, and the club will very probably look to sell them and get rid in this coming summer. Estimated fees for all of them are in the sort of £3 to £4 million range. Whether or not we get that, we'll have to find out, but that's a hell of a lot of PSR profit for all of those players, so that'll help with signing someone in, I guess. We'll get to those players in a little while. But first we need to talk about Mateo Joseph. Does he stay? Does he go? According to reports, Leeds United say he is not for sale. I imagine an insane bid would probably change that. However, I don't necessarily see that coming out of Betis, which is where all of this interest seems to be coming from. Maybe a loan, not a permanent sale. Similarly, a lot of people might get mad at this one, it looks like Patrick Bamford is not going to be on the way out. There's been no rumours of a move, and in addition to that, he's just sort of been posting training reels on his Instagram. So, sorry, but I feel like he'll be sticking around next season. And that's basically all I can think of with regards to the players potentially leaving Leeds United. If you can think of any names I haven't thought of, either in this or the next section, please don't hesitate to shout at me. I can take it, and then I can fix it for a future video that might happen in like a month, I don't know. At some point in the near future, I'll do another one of these, and hopefully people enjoy it, I suppose. Anyway, on to the players we're more likely to be getting in, which I feel like people are going to enjoy more. Hopping into the goalkeeper side of things, we've got three English lads to start us off. We've got Aaron Ramsdale, who, having gotten relegated with Southampton, reportedly has a £25 million exit clause. We've got Sam Johnston, who Wolves are trying to get rid of but want to break even, so it'll be about £10 million for him. And Nick Pope, who is potentially being replaced at Newcastle by James Trafford. Probably looking at something like £15 million for Nick Pope from the numbers that we've seen. But who knows whether these are going to happen. They've all been sort of initial interest levels of reporting in the past, without anything being a solid. Leeds have put in a bid for X, Y, or Z goalkeeper. In terms of international goalkeepers, you've got Georgi Petrovic, who was at Strasbourg last season, out on loan from Chelsea. He'll probably have his sights a little bit higher than Leeds United, but our interest in him has been reported. Got Finn Dachman at Augsburg, who there was a little bit of reported interest relatively early in the window, but it's gone a bit quiet. And more recently, we've had interest reported in Lucas Perry, a Brazilian goalkeeper at Lyon. Approximately £15 million would reportedly separate him from the club, because they're looking to do a little bit of a fire sale, pull their finances back in order to try and fix their finance-forced relegation issues. Going to take a moment to catch my breath, because I'm trying to work my way through two full report cards of players that we've been linked with and have an interest in, and I can only go 3 or 4 at a time because I can't remember all the details. Give me a moment. And here we go again. with fullbacks, defenders, that sort of area of the pitch. And there's a couple of reasonable options for Leeds United to look at. Vladimir Soufal was reportedly linked with us towards the start of the window, but those have dropped off to become very, very quiet since. Jaffet Tanganga has been discussed with his £1.2 million release clause, but rumour is he'll apparently look a little bit more France or Germany woods, get a little bit more first-team football, then work his way back into sort of the big picture. Sensible thing to do if you're a relatively young footballer trying to rebuild an image. Next up, you got the fullback areas with Swedish left-back Gudmundsson being a potentially interesting player for Leeds United. There were reports he was at Thorpe Arch, that turns out to not be a thing, but there's still a lot of discussion around him potentially wanting to come to Leeds and Leeds potentially wanting him. I want to talk about this one. Yeah, it's Kostas Tsimikas. Said a month and a bit ago that his move to Leeds was basically done. Didn't happen. Still could. He's still probably going to leave Liverpool in this window. He's currently a third choice left back. He's going to want to play a little bit of football because they're bringing in Kirkes. But he's not at Leeds yet, at the very least. How about we get back onto it with the midfielders? First, you got Sean Longstaff, who is a fairly solid midfielder for Newcastle, would do a reasonable job. £15 million is the rough sort of approximate cost that's been mentioned, but those discussions have gone a little bit quiet of late. The interest has been paused, which is what the report says. In addition to that, we've apparently got an interest in Marita, who plays over in Portugal. However, no reports have come from English sources, so to me that says that Marita's agent has been talking to sources in a local area to sort of push a little bit of encouragement towards a move. Not going to happen. Noah Sadiki at Union Saint-Gilloise is the next on the list. He can play as a defensive midfielder, as a fullback, as a centre-back. He's a very, very good player. However, it looks like we may have to battle Brentford for him because there is a lot of interest flying around this guy. And we've also been linked with Calvin Phillips, but to me, that one is just not going to happen. I feel like we've moved past Calvin and he would need to have a massive wage cut for us to even consider making that move, considering the amount of money he is now on. It'd be nice, but it doesn't feel feasible. Another one on the list of was mentioned, but not for long and not especially loudly, is Souček. Souček would cost us about £20 million. West Ham are looking to do a big rebuild this coming summer because they've got an ageing squad. Souček would be one of the players leaving. However, links on that one have gone relatively quiet as well, so it's not looking super feasible. Finazaz also similarly rarely linked, and also at the £20 million price bracket. However, all of those links have come from the Irish press, which again makes me think, has his agent just gone to who he knows to try and spread a story to try and push for a move? Don't think he's really Premier League ready anyway, so it wouldn't be too much of a loss. Quite like my note for this one. Habib Diarra, prick, Sunderland, £30 million. Done. Followed quickly by Gus Hamer, bigger prick. Unlikely, PSV target, don't particularly want him anyway. He is probably good enough, to be completely clear with you, but I don't particularly want Sheffield United players. I know it's petty, I know it's childish, but not for me. Next up, couple more attacking players. James McAtee seems set for Bayer Leverkusen, or at least that's where the loudest voices are. Yes, we've got a little bit of an interest, but he probably has his sights set a little bit taller than us. And Manor Solomon is another another player that we are potentially looking at. However, there is a pretty big chance that he sticks around at Spurs next season. There's a new manager there. He can impress them. It feels like it's going that way rather than him going out again. I'd quite like to sign him, but I don't know whether or not we can. It doesn't seem super feasible. Also, on a relatively unfeasible note, you've got weirdly two players that link together. You got Beto, who currently plays at Everton, and there was a little bit of a link with him earlier in the window, but it doesn't seem super viable because A, we are potentially rivals with them next season. He might be looking a little bit elsewhere if he is going to make a move, but also he might not be making a move because of another player we had temporary short-term links with. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is leaving Everton. He's not having his contract renewed, he's not sticking around, he wants to make his way somewhere else, and that will make it fairly hard to get Beto. Similarly, Callum Wilson has been linked with Leeds United, but those are relatively minor links. We were listed as a front runner a good while ago, but I will be honest, the fact that we signed Nemecha makes me feel like the next striker we sign is going to be for a fee, is going to be a first-team starter. That isn't Callum Wilson, so I think we skip over that one. That's followed relatively sharply by Rodrigo Muniz, who we have reportedly put in a very, very big bid for, something like £32 million. However, Fulham said no, and they're not selling unless it would be like a crazy sum of money. Whether or not we go for that, I don't know. I kind of hope not. I like the way that we didn't get sort of extorted on the price for Diarra, but that one we'll have to see. And then finally on this list, we have Krstovic. Over in Italy, striker. Very weird reports. We've got some people saying that we've put in bids, some people are saying we've had bids accepted, agreed terms with the player. The YEP think there's been no bid put forward, but we have an interest. One to keep an eye on, but if only because it's absolutely chaos. I'm quite interested by that one. And that is everyone that I could put together between off the top of my head and a YEP article and I saw and a very, very quick Google. But if there is anyone that I didn't cover, please pop them in the comments, let me know, and I will get to them in the next version of this video. Maybe we'll have signed them. I don't know. Maybe we signed someone and I've not talked about them a single time. It'd be fantastic. Obviously, I didn't cover Nemecha, didn't cover Beal because they're already at the club. That just sort of makes sense. But that's going to be that for this video. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, pop a like on it. It's a slightly different style, so it would be good to get an idea of what you guys think. Also, comment your thoughts down below. Subscribe if you're not yet. For every subscriber that I have full-time in the charity match, another 1p goes to Prostate Cancer UK. So at the moment, it's sitting at about £63, £64. If we can get that as high as possible, that would be absolutely fantastic. And you can get your tickets and donate down below. That'd be also wonderful. Either way, hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you later. Ta-ra. I never know how these higher effort videos will go. Sometimes they just flop, which is a shame. I guess we'll find out. Ta-ra.